Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all back again this week for another study. On my playlist, I have Revelations of Jesus Christ on there, and Wally's always doing dinner table messages. Well, I always like to say you get it here first because it's coming right off the stove instead of waiting until it gets to the dinner table. So, the Lord's just been speaking to me all week. We talked last week about darkness, the salt and the light, and then the darkness, and there's just so many of God's people that's been hearing so much about the darkness coming. Now, the book says the sun will become dark as sackcloth of hair, and the moon will become as blood. Now, is that figurative or literal? I'm almost willing to bet that it's both, but it's definitely going to be a spiritual darkness that this world has never experienced before, and they will never experience it again. And like I said last week, don't let your candle go out. Jesus is the light of the world. He's the candle inside you. Don't let that candle go out. So, God's little confirmations are amazing to me. I spoke last week about a do. And if you were here last week, you know that a do was Lot's wife. And I had hypothesized that that story that William Shakespeare or Sir Francis Bacon, however you want to put it, wrote Much Ado About Nothing, and I said I wondered if that had to do with it. Well, anyway, the Lord had given me a great confirmation this morning. Every day I wake up, I have a certain chair I sit in and I pray, and I usually pray for about an hour, and then I'll read my word. So anyway, I had gotten done praying this morning, and I started my word, and I started in Mark. I think it was chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4, and I read 4 and 5 out of Mark. And I got into 5, and I came to a place in 5. It was chapter 5, verse 39, that it had never clicked with me before, but this week it clicked. I go through the Bible, I don't know how many times in a year, but I read it through every once I get to the end of Revelation, I always go back and I start. And then throughout the days, I'm always in my Bible reading different stories, different passages, whatever. But every morning, I start at the beginning and go to the end throughout the year. And like I said, throughout the days, I'll just read various other scriptures. But like I said, this scripture, Mark 5, verse 39, never stood out before to me like it did today. And I'm going to go ahead and read it to you real quick, and we'll see. I'll see if you get the same thing I did out of it. Mark 5 and verse 39. And like I said, I love God's little confirmations. Okay, now this is Mark 5, verse 39, and part of it is where Jesus starts speaking. So this is the story of Jairus. So Jairus' daughter is sick, and she goes to Jesus. So Jesus will come to his house and lay his hand on his daughter and heal her. So anyway, they're on the way, and that's when the lady touches the hem of his garment, and he feels the virtue leave him, and he said, "Who's touched me?" So after this, he said, he tells the woman, "Go your way, your faith has made you whole," and then he gets to Jairus' house. Now, starting in verse 39, and like I said, the servants had already come to Jairus and Jesus and said that Tabitha was already dead. Nothing. Don't bother the rabbi. Don't bother the master. Your daughter's dead already. So this is Jesus. And when he was come in, he saith to them in the house, why make ye this ado? And remember, like we said, Lot's wife's name was Ado. Why make ye this ado? And remember, she looked back because she was upset because her children were still in the city. They were getting ready to die. So she was making much ado about nothing, is what we were talking about last week. But what would any parent do for their kids? What would they do? So, anyway, Jesus says, why make ye this ado and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. So, when I heard that, in my spirit today, it was just a confirmation. Why make ye this ado? Ado, Lot's wife, is not dead. She just sleepeth. Why? Because Abraham had made that salt covenant with God. And so when Ado looked back, she was turned into that pillar of salt, and he preserved his word. God preserved his word with Abraham by turning Ado into salt. So this little scripture, this little nugget, it smacked me in the face this morning. It was amazing. And I looked up at God, and I was just like, you are you beyond words. I didn't know how to describe it. If he would, well, I know he was looking at my heart, and I was just flabbergasted, like I am now, just speechless. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, it just clicked, like a little light went on. And that's how this word is. You will not understand this word. God is the best hide-and-go-seek player you can ever imagine. If God hides something from you, even if it's right in your face, you will not see it. You will not find it. If he sends a deception, you will not see it. You will believe the lie. Now, he did not send that, but it was sent. And those that choose not to believe the truth will believe the lie, will believe the mandates. But we'll get on to that a little bit later. So, last week we were talking about salt and light. We actually have been talking about Daniel 12, verse 4, the last few weeks. And in Daniel 12, verse 4, and we'll go to it real quick. This is where the angel tells Daniel, go thy way. Go thy way. So, Daniel 12 and verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Shut up the books and seal them. Remember what I just said? If God hides himself or hides something from you, you will not find it, you will not see it. How many times have you, I know I have, how many times have you read through this scripture right here and read right past it? I would say pretty much everybody that's read it has read right past it. Why? Prophecy had not been fulfilled. The books were closed. The books were sealed, so they could have not been discerned. So the books were sealed. The books were locked. You cannot unlock it with your mind. God has a wall there. So, now, to the time of the end. Now, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. So, if the books are opened, that knowledge, it don't just mean technology like I said last week. It's not the rocket ships and the airplanes and the telephones and the smart TVs and all that. That's not exactly everything that it's talking about. Okay, if the books are sealed and then the time of the end comes, the books are opened, then what knowledge is increased? It's the knowledge of God's Word. That is the knowledge that's increased. But what happens when you increase that knowledge? People don't want to hear. They don't want to hear about it. Why? Because it's the time of the end. People fear what they don't know. People fear what they don't see, what they can't see. But the problem is, if they would keep their nose in this book, they would have eyes to see. They would have ears to hear. There would not be any worries. There would not be any cares. So what happens is, whenever people find out what time it is, and that it is the time of the end and the books are open, they get scared. So they seek out pastors or churches to let them know that they are okay, to hear what their itching ears wants to hear. No, don't worry about that sin. That's not a damnable sin. You're not going to go to hell for that. I've seen a lot worse. What did we say last week? No sin will enter the kingdom of heaven. Not one. So, what happens is, like I said, they seek out people that preach and teach not the truth. What's the truth? Jesus is the truth. So, we go, like I said, to those feel-good pastors that preach us a prosperity message. The Osteens. And I hate to step on people's toes, but the Copelands, the Duplanises, the Creflo Dollars. There's even a bunch here on YouTube. What's his name? Robin Bullock. That's a devil right there. You know, to sit there and prophesy and keep prophesying and keep prophesying about the return or another 4 more years of this person, of this Barabbas, this person that worships Apollo. So Mr. Bullock keeps on prophesying the same thing over and over and over. Your Bible says that if a person prophesy and he's not hearing from the Lord, he is to be taken, to be buried up to his neck, and hot lead poured down his throat. So, that being said, sorrows will increase, because that's when knowledge increases, that's when sorrows increase. And we'll go to Ecclesiastes 1. I believe Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 17. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 17. And this is Solomon. And I gave my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. Sorrow. Yeah, like I said, people don't want to hear it's the end. Just tell me a good message. Tell me something good. I don't want to hear the bad. It's not bad if you know what's coming and where you're going. Nothing to be fearful of. So, we know that Matthew 24 talks about the end. Matthew 24 talks about a time of sorrows. So, let's go to Matthew 24 and let's see if there is anything going on today that we can find in Matthew 24. And I know that's kind of like you all have heard Matthew 24 a million times. But there's a thing in Matthew 24 we need to get through. And this is something that God had put to me today, or this week. I had another week of running back and forth, writing stuff down as he was speaking to me. And I'm going to actually read you what he had given me, what he was downloading to me. I'm going to read exactly word for word how he said it and how for me to write it down. And then the stuff that I studied on top of what he told me. Because we have Matthew 24 talks about deception. There's a lot of deceiving going on. Deceivings with this. Deceivings with nations, rising against nations. And we're going to talk about that too. That was the main word that he had given me this week. Now, when we get into that word, you guys are going to have to realize this is what is called for in the Bible. This Bible prophesies. It not only tells you the past, but it tells you the future. There is no new thing under the sun, as Ecclesiastes 1:9 says, as well as I've, quoted that scripture many a times in these videos. You're going to keep seeing it, like being on a loop. So, Matthew 24, and we're going to go from verse 3 down to 15, but I'm going to read 3 to 10 first. Matthew 24, verse 3 down to 10, I believe it is. And then we're going to go into a Psalm 2, and I'll speak on Acts 4 for a second. And then we're going to get into the word that he had given me. It's not super long. And then we've got some scriptures to read. Malachi 3, Malachi 4, Jeremiah 50, and Jeremiah 51. We're going to go all through those. Try and break a little bit down here and there. We know where we're at. We know who's who. Especially if you've read the book of Jasher. If you read the book of Jasher, I believe it's chapter 7. It tells you who the nations are. It tells you who the people are. And we know that our war isn't against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this world. And that's where we're going. I'll get into that here in a minute. Now, Matthew 24, verse 3 is where we're going to start. And as he sat, this is Jesus sitting on the Mount of Olives. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when these things shall be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world. Now, they came unto him privately, the disciples. Would the disciples be his bride? Just a question. Back then, at this time period, was his disciple. They followed him everywhere he went. Would they have been his bride? So let me ask you something. These two witnesses that keep prophesying for 42 months, 3.5. The two witnesses that keep prophesying, whenever God says, come up hither, would that be him? Or, let's say it this way, would that be them coming to him privately? That's just a question. Come up hither. Come up here to me privately, and we'll let it all watch it play out. Come unto me privately. You're my bride. Like I said, just think on that. Verse 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Now, we've told you in here before, you are going to have some crazy lot of people saying that they're God. I'm God. I'm here. It might be what the controllers of what's going on, the rulers of the darkness of this world, might say that they're aliens and they're coming to, set things right and make everything the way it should be. And they're going to say they're the gods. That could be. Also, you're going to see others. Let's read this again, verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So, you're going to have a ton of people standing behind a pulpit or behind a computer screen. So like I've said to you before, don't believe a word I say. You take everything I say and you say that's interesting. And then you take it to this word and you ask your teacher in this word if what I say is true. Don't believe a word I say. Study to show yourself approved. Back to 5. For many will come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Many will come behind a pulpit or behind a computer screen and say that Jesus Christ is Jesus Christ. And they will deceive you by saying, go ahead. They will deceive you by saying, smoking won't send you to hell, but it'll make you smell like you've been there. Or they'll say, yeah, that sin's not that bad. Come on in, the water's fine, like I keep saying. They will make you feel comfortable with your itching ears. They will make you feel comfortable in your sin, and you will not let it go. So you will not be able to come unto Jesus privately, or you will not hear, come up hither. You won't hear, come up hither. What's going to happen if you have not let go of your sin? You're going to be left, and you won't have that chance to come unto him privately. You're going to live through hell. You're going to live through hell on earth because you, take heed that no man deceive you, you let some man deceive you, saying that Jesus Christ is Jesus Christ, and then taught you some other thing. And so you'll be left. And then after that, you're going to have to let go of whatever it is you've got a hold of. Let not your light go out. Keep oil in your lamp. Like I've told you guys before, my greatest prayer for every single one of you is for you to make heaven your eternal home, and for you to stand right next to me in his throne room. That's my greatest prayer for each and every single one of you. Verse 6, Matthew 24. And ye shall hear of wars. Listen up. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places, and all these are the beginnings of sorrows. So the knowledge is increased, the knowledge of God's Word, because the books are open. And so when that knowledge is increased, what does knowledge increase? It increases sorrows. So that's where we are. Sorrows. The beginning of sorrows. Now I'm not saying that the seals haven't been opened, because we know there's been some seals open. We know some horses are riding. So, don't get what I say twisted. And if you have a question, you ask it in the comments. I answer every single comment. As far as, to the best of my ability, I know, I answer all the comments, because I have to hold an account of whatever I say. I'm held at a greater responsibility than anybody else that either is not teaching or does not have the ability to teach or doesn't have the gift. It's a gift. Not everybody can teach. I don't know why I'm teaching, other than So, there's that. But anyway, let's go back to this nation rising against nation. I told you all, listen up. The reason I tell you guys to listen up, because you see all this stuff going on in the news. News is horrible. Turn off the boob tube. If you watch that boob tube long enough, you're going to become a boob. So, if any of you have ever read the television patent, it was once called the image dissector. Then they went to tell a live vision. It's a propaganda machine. It's made for you to change your mind or to get them to sway you in whatever direction they want to sway you. They use commercials to do it. They use commercials to learn. They could care less about money. They could care less about you buying something. Money does not mean anything. All they have to do is print more. That's it. Money does not mean... All they use their commercials to do is to learn how to steer you in the direction that they want you to go. Ordo ab chaos. We've talked about it before. Order out of chaos. They make the explosions. They cause the booms. But what they do is they're a wall right here. And when the explosion goes up here, they push you in that direction. They push the explosion in whichever way they want it to go. It's a controlled demolition of Zion. It's a controlled demolition. That's all it is. Now, back to this nation against nation and the news. I've told you guys this before. March, Friday the 13th, in March of 2020, Friday the 13th, the president, the orange one, he filed for a national state of emergency due to the sickness. Doing that on Friday the 13th, which is why it caught my attention. I looked into it. And what that does is it suspends your Constitution. You are no longer under constitutional law. Now, that national emergency has to be revised every 6 months. And every 6 months, since Friday the 13th in March of 2020, every 6 months, it has been ratified. That includes the biding their time administration, because that's what they're doing, biding their time until they can control, demolish, whatever. So, and like I said last week, it's all amounts to getting God to open up the top so they can shoot him, just like Nimrod did at the Tower of Babel. That's why I postulated that the DNA of Nimrod is in this. That being said, I'm going to tell you guys the words that God came down to me. I've seen articles, news articles about, I believe it was 13,000 ships off the coast of Ecuador. Chinese ships. So, there's that. They're supposed to be fishing vessels, but we know all the fishing vessels have been retrofitted to open up the front end of their hulls so they can run aground and whatever comes out, comes out. So, I could care less. It does not bother me. It could be propaganda for all I know. Anyway, so there's that. But like I said earlier, on Friday the 13th of March of 2020, your Constitution is no longer active. It's null and void. even the orange man sat up there behind his little pulpit and said that we are in the process of breaking down some old arcane laws. Those laws that were old and arcane that he was talking about is your Constitution. So there's that. Now, what happens is that Constitution is suspended in all the presidential powers except for the day-to-day operations. All the other powers goes to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So that is who is running your country. And it's not them, because they have given their power over to the United Nations, the UN. Now, that being said, who did we say last week funds the UN? Where did they get all their money? The Lucius Trust, set up by, I can't remember if it was Helena Blavatsky that set it up or if it was Alice Bailey that set up the Lucius Trust. I think it was Helena Blavatsky, but I'm not 100%. I'm kind of shooting from the hip on that one. But it's the Lucius Trust. And we know Lucius or Lucian or Lucifer, that's what Lucius stands for. So basically, the Lucifer Trust is who funds the UN. Now, where does Lucifer get his money? It doesn't matter. He just prints it up. So, that's who's controlling the UN. So, if that's the UN, then aren't the UN, isn't that every nation together? Okay, there. Now, before I get to what God gave me, He gave me some stuff, and then I went and studied. So, the UN has 5 non-rotating members with veto powers that are on the UN Security Council. It's the highest council at the UN. 5 non-rotating members. The United States, China, Russia, France, and the United Kingdom. Those are the 5 countries. And so I studied those countries, and yes, they are all advocates, high advocates, the highest advocates of the 2030 agenda. And I've said weeks ago, you need to learn to read symbols and numbers, and you'll be able to see how they speak to each other. Now, I'm not talking about looking into any of that stuff. But if you know what they're saying, you are not going to be destroyed for lack of knowledge. So, even if you decide not to look into it, great, because I will be here to speak it to you. So, there you go. There's that. So you take that 2030 and you drop the 0, and what do you end up with? Agenda 2023. So we talked about last week this not only being the mark, but it is also a giant depopulation platform. We talked about Deagle.com and how Deagle.com website predicted years upon years ago that the population of America in 2025 will be 100 million or less. We talked about last week, how do you get that with 330 million people? Sounds like there's going to be a die-off. And like I've said, all these have a lot number. And I'm betting dollars to donuts that lot number is a frequency. And when that certain frequency to each one of these is put into a 5 gee whiz transmitter with that certain frequency, will that activate a certain medical procedure within you? Not in you, but in somebody that's taken that medical procedure. That remains to be seen. But if a whole lot of people have to get gone real quick, according to the 2030 or the 2023 agenda, I imagine it's going to happen real quick. So, that being said, God told me there are no more countries. The propaganda machines, the scrying mirrors, or aka black mirror, aka your smart TV or just any other type of TV, it's known as a scrying mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Ask it a question and it'll tell you the answer. That's what those are, scrying mirrors. So, it does propaganda in every single solitary landmass all over this flat earth. Yeah, I said it's flat. I said it. You go and you ask somebody, what is an astral lamp? ASTRAL, astral lamp. So they're going to tell you they don't know. Then you tell them to go look it up. Your sun is what's called an astral lamp. It burns hydrogen. That being said, does anybody know what type of gas hydrogen needs to burn? Oxygen. Can you tell me how a big ball of hydrogen astral lamp is supposedly burning in a vacuum without oxygen? And then when you ask him that, you can watch the toilet flush inside their head and listen to the crickets, because they won't have an answer. Anyway, like I said, the UN tells the nations what to do anymore. There are no nations. There are only the powers that be, the controllers, whatever you want to call them, the darkness, the rulers of this world. Ephesians 6 tells you the Lucius Trust, Lucifer, that is who's in charge. We need to get our minds out of red and blue, or Confederate and Union, or conservative and liberal, black against white. Stop fighting against yourselves. What happens is, there's three people in a room. There's the blue and the red, the Republicans and the Democrats, and they're sitting there fighting. And then there's that third person over here in the room, and he's egging them on, getting them to fight each other. This is the controller. These are the people. Now, this is what God had told me. They, meaning the rulers in the darkness of the rulers of the darkness of this world, they are pushing one into another. They are making two dogs fight to see who comes out on top. It's not countries. It's not Russia and China. It's not Dems versus Republicans, nor conservatives versus liberals. Stop fighting. Love me. Love one another. Stop. Be still. Know that I am God. Do not provoke me to wrath. Repent. Now, with that, he gave me 2 Chronicles 7:14. So let's go to 2 Chronicles 7:14 real quick before we come back to Matthew 24. Oh, darn it. Let me go to Psalms 2 verses 2 real quick because I forgot. That was another thing he gave me. Sorry about this. Psalms 2 verses 2. This is David. And we're going to go, like we've said in here before, out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let all things be established. This is Psalms 2. This is David. Psalms 2 verse 2. The kings of the earth... I'm going to start at 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? There's another scripture I want you to look up. Why? Learn not the way of the heathen. Figure that out. Learn not the way of the heathen. That's one that I didn't look up, and the address is escaping me right now. But learn not the way of the heathen. Okay. Now, this is Psalm 2, verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Now, the Lord and his anointed. Now, we know the anointed is Jesus. But I tell you what, you wrong my wife, and you're going to deal with me. So, in that scripture, you make sure you put his bride with his anointed. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his Christ and his Christ's bride. That's what's put that big old circle on your chest. You being his bride. They can't get to him. They couldn't touch him if they wanted. You wait till them tokamaks go. When he pops that top and them tokamaks go off like a Roman candle. Right now, he's sitting back there looking. And what's he do? He laughs. He laughs. So what's he do? He hurts you. He hurts me. His bride. Jesus is Yeshua. His bride. So you put yourself there. Now, in Acts 4, they're basically quoting what David said. So Acts 4, verse 25 through to 26. Who by the mouth of the servant David has said, why did the heathen rage and the people imagine vain things? The kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his Christ. It didn't say anointed here, it said to Christ. Now, I'm not adding, and I'm not taking away from this word. Because in this word, it calls you anointed. So, don't get it twisted. Now, back to 2 Chronicles 7:14. This is what God gave me. On top of, there's no countries. Okay? So, before I get there, I don't care if this gets me in trouble or not. Stop watching your news. You're not going to see Russia with some big nuclear war. You're not going to see some big ICBM fly from there to here. What they've got you in is in a lull, a back and forth, just like a ship. Rock-a-bye baby in the treetops. They're getting you in a lull, and it's rocking you to sleep. That's what they're doing. Chaos. A little bit of peace. Chaos. A little bit of peace. Chaos. A little bit of peace. And then when they want to, they make that explosion and push you in the way that they want you to go after the explosion, because you'll follow. That's what sheep do. So anyway, that being said, all these ships, all this stuff, I'm not saying you're not going to see foreign troops on this border. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when the tsunamis happen, when the bombs go off, it's going to be your own country doing it. Believe it or not. That's what God told me. The enemy is here. The enemy is within. You've already been taken over. There was a movie once that said, we're not going to go out with a bang. We'll go out with a whimper. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Just like the Venus flytrap I told you about before. What happens is, the Venus flytrap, it don't go like that real fast. It's just real slow. And when the fly tries to escape, he's already trapped. You're in a mousetrap. And you ain't got no way out. But Yeshua Jesus, that's all you've got. Now, that being said, this knowledge is increased, and I'm speaking all this stuff. And I'll get back to the bombs here in a minute. Do not sorrow. Do not fret. Joshua 1:9. Haven't I commanded you to be courageous? Be of good cheer. Do not be afraid. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And He is who will sustain you. He is who will hold you up. You know where you're going. What's a bullet? What's losing your head? It's nothing. Sign me up. I'm ready. It reminds me of that Jedi, the movie Return of the Jedi. He says, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can ever imagine. Obi-Wan Kenobi said that, I think, in Star Wars or something like that. But yeah. When those fake apostles tried to cast out that devil, and what happened? They jumped on him. They said, who? Paul we know. Jesus we know. Who are you? And they jumped on him. I'm here to tell you right now, and you should be the same way as I am right now. They know my name, and they tremble. They know my name, and they won't play. They'll say, don't mess with that one. Like I told you before, the angels behind me with the flaming sword, they fight my battles. I've seen people get mad at me. I've seen people do things behind my back, and then I see what happens to them. So, I know that I'm protected. I know that I'm under His wings. I know that I'm in His shadow. I don't fear nothing. And you shouldn't either. Because even if they kill you, you will come back more powerful than anybody can ever imagine. You just wait. Come up hither. Go to Him privately. And then we will come back with Him on white horses. So, anyway, the bombs. Okay. So, I'm sure they've already got, they talk about that Poseidon missile and all this and that. That's all for you to put a name to something. So it burns it into your memory. Okay, so I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. What if this happens? What if fear? Fear-based mind control. MK Ultra. Look that up. Project Monarch. It's fear-based mind control, and they use your scrying mirror on your wall, or this black scrying mirror, or this that I'm recording myself on, they use that to program you. So I'm trying to speak on this to get those deprogrammed, I guess you could call it. So what's going to happen is these Poseidons, or whatever you want to call them, they're already on the ocean floor. They're already in the faults. Whatever they got to do to set them off, all they have to do is flip a switch. The ocean floor drops, and when that drops, the water drops. So when the water drops, then the tsunami comes in. It's already set up. I can guarantee you the Cascadia has got that already. They already have I know this. I've seen the schematics. They have offshore submarine bases underwater off the west coast. I don't know about the east coast. I do know the west coast, though. So, I'm sure there's something there. Okay, so that being said, I've also seen the schematics for the underground maglev trains, the underground highways. I've been in the underground in Clinton, Missouri, in Carthage, Missouri, and it goes on up into Kansas City. I've seen it. They've got country clubs down there, tennis courts. They've got just Tyson Chicken is underground as far as you can. I mean, you get lost down there. It's ungodly. They have 6-lane highways underground. I have been in them. I used to do HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning and refrigeration. Those systems use a brine system. It's salt water. That's how they keep everything temperature regulated. I've seen them with my own eyes. So don't tell me they don't exist. That being said, all they have to do is pop up anywhere and set something off. Set something to the side, set it off. So, that's what you're going to see. There's tares amongst us. And those tares don't care anything about you. They don't care about your children. They don't care about your mom or your dad or your grandpa. All they want to do is kill you or do what they're told. That's all they do. So, and yes, I know about the stuff underground. So, what do we do about it? I told you last week, prophecy has to be fulfilled. The word has to be fulfilled. But God says, can't we do something about it? We can. Yeah, we can. 2 Chronicles 7:14. Let's go there, and I'll tell you what we can do about it. I'll tell you exactly what we can do about it. 2 Chronicles 7:14, and this is a go-to scripture for a lot of pastors, so most of you have probably heard about it. Pastors use it for an offering. So, 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. So sure, yeah, something you can do about it. You think you can get everybody to do it? I'm betting we can't. I'm betting. All it takes is one. Jonah. Nineveh. You get a chance, read Jonah. There's 4 chapters. Maybe 5, I don't know. But read Jonah. Jonah was able to do it to Nineveh. If we can do it today, I would not think so, just for the simple fact is the books are opened. So if the books are open, that means it's the time of the end. But there's always repentance with God. Always repentance with God. Now, let's go to Revelation 9 and verse 20. 9 and verse 20. And like I said, we just got done. If my people, who which are called by my name, if they will turn, if they will repent, I will heal their land. Revelation 9, verse 20. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone, and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Verse 21. Neither repented they of their murderers, nor of their sorceries, pharmakia, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. So because they would not repent, and it says that in Revelation, so that's the back of the book. So because they would not repent, the end will come. Now, let's go back to Matthew. You thought I forgot, didn't you? Matthew 24, verse 10. And I want to read the rest of it. Matthew 24, 10 down to 15. Okay, Matthew 24, verse 10 down to 15. And like I said, all the heads, and you can actually Google this. Google 2030 agenda and actors, and it will tell you all the countries and actors. It'll use the word actors. The leaders and governments and actors. It says actors. Why would it say actors? That don't make no sense. Why would it say actors? There's not actors in every single country. Not in every country, there's not. But I tell you what, and this is just me throwing this out there, I guess. If they're on TV, they're an actor. That includes biding their time. That includes Barabbas. But since y'all keep calling for Barabbas and keep calling for Barabbas, and you're saying, when you call for Barabbas, let his blood, let the Christ's blood, his let Yahweh's anointed one, Yeshua, let his blood be on us and our children. And every time that debt clock increases, your children are being enslaved. And the blood will be on your hands, every one of you that cry for Barabbas. Wouldn't you rather have God? Man, I was in tears. You can ask my wife. I was in tears the last election. These people driving up. We had parades up and down the town here. They had the last president's name on their flags and the American flags. Why would you want a man when you can have Jesus? When you can have Jesus come back and rule, why would you want a man when you can have God himself, just like the Hebrews of old? We want a king. We want a king just like the other nations. Give us Saul to rule over us. Give us Saul. And then after Saul, give us Barabbas. We don't want Jesus. We don't want Yeshua. Give us a man we can see. Oh, you're going to see him all right. You're going to see him when he sets his foot down on the Mount of Olives and split it in twain. You're going to see him. Be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get it. And it ain't going to be what you thought, because then you're going to have to live the way you're supposed to. You're going to have to let go of your sin. So, Matthew 24. Sorry, not verse 10, verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended. There's a lot of offended people in this world nowadays. You tell them something, just automatically offended, when all you're trying to do is help. No good deed goes unpunished. You know that, right? We love God with all our hearts, mind, soul, and spirit. We love our neighbors ourselves. So what do? We stand on that wall. Ezekiel 33. We stand on that wall. And we warn people of the judgment, of the evil to come. The evil from the Lord. He says, I'm coming to do evil to you. I just told you what he says. This is what he told me. This is what he told me. Stop. Be still. Know that I am God. Do not provoke me to wrath. Offended. That's what the word does. It cuts. And I hope I've cut a few people in here tonight with the word. Because that's what they need. They need to bleed. They need that pain. They need to be reminded of that sin so they can let it go. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot more pain. And then many shall be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. Shall betray one another. Oh yeah, see that person over there? They didn't get that. It's that person over there. They're the dirty ones. They're the ones making everybody sick. Go get them. Verse 11, and here we go again. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, sin, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. Now, he that endure until the end, the same shall be saved. What about that come up hither thing, Joshua? What about that come up hither thing? It's exactly the question I used to have. What is that? And even in Enoch, those that endure to the end, it's not talking about the bride. It's not talking about the bride. Those that endure until the end. It also means those that have died already. Those that keep getting kicked every day and keep getting up. Those that refuse to give up. Those that continuously endure. Those that continually repent. Because, hey, I ain't no angel. I get mad. I've said cuss words. I ain't no angel. But every time I do, you can ask people at work, I'll smash my finger. I mean, it don't happen very often. Well, not me smashing my finger because I smash my finger all the time. But I might pop off and say a cuss word. And the second that thing comes out of my mouth, boom, Lord Jesus God, please forgive me. People make fun of me at work. I ain't worried about it. I ain't here to please them. But you know what? They see what I do. And they learn. They know who I fear. And then one day, whenever all hell breaks loose, and I'm not there, because I am the bride, what did Joshua know? He feared God. I need to learn how to fear God. That is the beginning of wisdom. Joshua always told me that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Even those people I work with, I can see them every day. I see their evil spirit that's attached to them. I hear the stories they tell at work, and I pray for them every day. All I can do is live a life that they can see. All I can do is witness to them while I got the chance. So, Those that endure to the end shall be saved. There's another part on there. The Romans used to make people take a pinch of salt and put it on the flame and declare Caesar as God. Caesar's God. And they got to go on. Let me ask you a question. Who are the first that get cast into the fire? It's the fearful and unbelieving. The fearful and unbelieving go first. They didn't trust God. They didn't trust the physician. They didn't repent. They didn't turn. They were too scared to think that God was going to take care of them or to shelter them. Too scared. And in the unbelief. Unbelief, the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. Unforgivable. So, you're going to have those that shall endure getting scourged, getting killed, loving their lives unto the death. At the end, while the bride is not here, the bride is gone, and that bride is going to be few. That's why I say it's his prophets, it's his bride. It's not a pre-tribulation. You're already in tribulation. It's not a pre-tribulation rapture. That's not what it is. For the most part, his bride is going to die. There's a song that says, I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. I heard a preacher once say, you can't decide to follow Jesus. He's the one that gave you the measure of the faith. You just obey. You can't decide to follow Jesus. And I'm sitting here thinking, this guy has no clue of what that song is about. I'm going to tell you what that song is about. So, in India, there was a man that went and converted a whole bunch of Hindus into Christians. And so the chief goes to this one family. Oh, Lord help me. The chief goes to this one family, and he gets out. He gets all his braves or his soldiers, whatever you want to call them, and he takes them to the side. And he tells the man, he says, "You're going to renounce your faith." And the man says, "No." He says, and the chief says, "If you don't renounce your faith, I'm going to kill your sons." And he says, "No." So they take their bows and they shoot his children. And while his two boys are sitting there twitching and writhing, because it takes a minute for people to die from a bow, especially a long bow. It takes a while for them to die. So while they're in pain, twitching and writhing on the ground, the priest looks at the man. He says, "I'm going to kill your wife next. Now I said to renounce your faith." The man says, "No." So they shoot his wife. And while she's sitting there writhing in pain and dying, next to her two boys, the chief looks at the man and he says, "I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you one more time, I'm going to give you one more chance. You renounce your faith or I will kill you." Well, the chief's a coward. Of course he's not going to kill the guy. He's going to have his little minions do it. That's what minions do. The chief's a coward. At that time, that chief was a coward. So, the man looks at the chief and he says, "I've decided I'm going to follow Jesus. No turning back." And that's how that song got wrote. So that king has his men shoot that man and kill him. And the whole family is sitting there writhing in pain and dying. Out of that dead man's faith come that song. And not only did that song come out of that dead man's faith, that chief got saved. And when that chief got saved, the whole village got saved. So when I heard that pastor sit up there and talk about that song, I wanted to throw up. Because you got a man behind a pulpit deceiving many, saying that Jesus Christ is Jesus Christ. But you can't decide to follow Jesus unto death. How about that one, Pastor? It's sad. Very sad. People parrot things what they hear. They don't bother to go and look things up. They don't bother to study to show themselves approved. So when I heard that, I lost all faith in that man. That being said, I said we would read Malachi 3, Malachi 4, Jeremiah 50, and Jeremiah 51. We'll try and break it down a little bit as we go. But I just want to show some people where we're at. Jeremiah's talking about Babylon. You're in Babylon. You're in Egypt. You're in Sodom. That's who controls this world. So anyway, like I said, we'll try and break down part of it as we go. And I know it's a lot of reading to do, but that's what the Lord had put on my heart. And as I've told you guys before, I obey. If the Lord tells me to do something, I obey. So, I'm going to start at Malachi 3 and read down through Malachi 4. Like I said, we might break a little bit of it down as we go. And then we'll jump back to Jeremiah 50 and Jeremiah 51, because this goes back to the nations. Nations rising against nations. Yes, there are nations rising against nations, but it's not the way you think. You're being deceived into rising against someone else. God says, love your neighbor as yourself. So how do you get neighbors to fight? You got to egg them into it. You got to coax them into it. You got to cause it. I don't know about you, but what did Russia ever do to me? What did China ever do to me? They're getting each other to fight. Like I told you when God gave me that rhema, that spoken word, He said they're pushing one into another. It's making two dogs fight. It's actually more than two dogs. It's actually more than two dogs. But it's a dog fight. And they're betting on it. What they're betting, I don't know, but they traffic, right? Talks about policy and trafficking in the word. They're trafficking in souls. The upper echelon of the military traffic in souls. They're wizards. You might not be able to wrap your brain around it, but Hogwarts is real, and you are muggles and mudbloods. You are not in the right bloodline. You are they are tares. They are in the right bloodline the bloodline that they considered to be from fallen angel blood. So you are an undesirable. I told my wife last night, this is one thing I forgot to write down, but God just brought it to my remembrance. Okay, so God says, life. He says it's like a game of Candyland or Chutes and Ladders. So going through it, Satan's people, or the occult, whatever, they'll sell their soul, or they'll do something evil, and it'll get them ahead. That's how they always get ahead. They might lie on somebody at work and get ahead. They might create a situation and get ahead. They might blame somebody for something that they didn't do and they get ahead. That's how Satan works. See, I've said this before, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Well, the house of Satan, it fights itself continuously because they're trying to get above each other to get up as high as they can within the secret societies and within the hierarchy. So they fight constantly against each other. I've got books that talk about real life witches that have come out of the occult, and they fight each other, and it's ungodly the things they do. But anyway, so that Candyland and Chutes and Ladders, what happens is we always hit the ladder going down, or we always get sent back to the back of the line, but yet we always get up. So God is letting me know that, he said, for the occult, for the Satanists, for those that aren't mine, their game is like Chutes and Ladders. Well, even the ones that are his. Even the ones that are his, that are holding on to something that they won't let go of, their life is like a game of Candyland. They're the ones that keep getting sent back to the front. His children, the ones that are still holding on to sin, that are not his, the 5 foolish virgins keep getting sent. Now they keep getting hit and knocked down, but they keep getting back up. But they're still holding on to that sin. And they'll get up and they'll go 15, 20 spaces and get knocked back down again, and they'll go, but they're still holding on to that sin. So, God said they're playing Candyland or Chutes and Ladders. Now, the ones in the know, they always take the easy road. And then the ones that are his, that are foolish, they keep playing that same game. I've told you before, it's not a game if you don't play. Stop playing. Be still. Know that he is God and that he has you. Let go of whatever it is that you have a hold of. Become a wise virgin. Fill your lamp with oil, that oil of joy. Fill it full to overflowing. Let him fill it. Let go of the sin. Put that sin on the altar and leave it there. Do not take it back. Now, for his bride, this is what he told me his bride is. It's not a game of Candyland. It's not a game of Chutes and Ladders. The game his bride plays is a game called Battleship. And we keep getting shot at, and shot at, and shot at. And sometimes we take a miss, and sometimes we take a hit. But at the end of our game, we always get our battleship sunk. So that's our game. Battleship. The 5 unwise and the tares play Chutes and Ladders in Candyland. Not the bride. So when we go up, we're going up. Not necessarily because we've earned it, but because he chose us. Now, Malachi 3. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. Now, this is talking of John the Baptist, one who's crying in the wilderness, and not only that, at this time right now at the end, we're at another cycle, and Jesus is fixing to come back. So what happens? John the Baptist comes, and that Spirit, his witnesses, prophesy. So his bride is speaking. The 42 months, we're speaking. Now we might lose our head. But even if we lose our head, God will say, come up hither, and then we will go to him privately. Just like it said in Matthew. So, we are the ones. We are the voice crying in the wilderness to those that will not listen. No matter how loud we shout, nobody listens. But that does not mean that we can't come off that wall. You are still to stand on that wall. As long as you have stood on that wall 1 second, you are not allowed to come down. Because you have become responsible for that wall. And for Yahweh coming back. You are responsible to tell anybody and everybody, whether they listen or not. If you chose for one instant to stand on that wall, and you got down, get back up. Get back up there. That's where you belong. You're a watchman. If you have to, go read Ezekiel 33 until you're sick to your stomach. But you're a watchman. The bride. Verse 2. But who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, and as in former years. And I will come near to you judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers and against the adulterers, those that cheat against their husband, who's their husband, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling, who's the hireling, who oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, and the fatherless. Now, I'm telling you, you're a widow, and you're the fatherless. Your father is not here. Your father is in heaven. You're a widow because they killed Yeshua. Yes, he rose. And yes, he is sitting at the right hand of the Father right now. But he is not with you. So right now you are a widow. And you're fatherless. So, and that turn aside from the stranger, from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Now, listen to this. You have not kept my ordinances. I ain't under the law. I mean, I know the law ain't null and void. But do I have to keep the law? Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and spirit. Love your neighbor as yourself. In those two things, there's your ordinances. Return unto me. So even if you were an adulterer, now I'm not saying it's going to work. Repent anyway. Fall down. Put on sackcloth and ashes. You better find something. Dig deep. Return again unto me, and I will return unto you. We read that in Jeremiah 3. So, here's two witnesses on that. Now, verse 8. Will a man rob God? ? Yet ye have robbed me, but ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? And it says, in tithes and offerings. And this is another one where the pastors used to get an offering. My last pastor was really good about this. He never. I would almost think that the deacons would have to beat that man over the head to get him to preach on tithes and offerings. That's one thing he was. Always solid on. Yeah, but this right here doesn't necessarily mean money. Money is a man thing. That's Caesar, right? No. So, and offerings. So, if you study tithes and offerings out, and I suggest you do, it's not just talking about money. So study it out yourself and let the Holy Spirit lead you and guide you, and you will most likely come to the same conclusion I did on it. Now, verse 9, ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. In mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven. Heaven has windows. Are we on a flat earth? Just a question. And pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. Sounds a lot like Solomon's land back in the day when, Queen of Sheba, she went up there and was like, why is he so blessed? And saw all the stuff, that the Lord had blessed him with. Everything was so beautiful because why? Because everybody did everything unto the Lord. A sacrifice. Just an observation. You take all that tithes and offering thing to Jesus, to the Word, and you'll see if he takes you the same place I did. Verse 13. Your words have been stout against me, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee? Ye have said it is vain to serve God, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord of hosts? And now we call the proud happy. Yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, they that tempt God are even delivered. What's that mean? And now we call the proud happy. Proud. You mean like Relon? Relon Scum, or you know what his name is. Or Gil Bates. Jeff Bezos, whatever his name is. All these proud people that you see on your scrying mirror on your wall that are working wickedness, but we all look up to them. Why? Because they have what? They work wickedness and they get blessed for it, and they play their games of Candyland and Chutes and Ladders, and then we call them happy? Why, they work their wickedness even. They that tempt God are even delivered. Verse 16, then they that feared the Lord spake often to one another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that fear the Lord, and that thought upon his name. A book of remembrance written for them that fear the Lord. So what that means is, anytime you do something as unto the Lord, whether it's giving money here, giving time there, helping somebody, don't toot your own horn. You don't need nobody to toot your horn. You've got a God in heaven that is looking down on you, and he is tooting your horn for you because he's putting a check right next to your name in that remembrance. And I bet dollars to donuts you only need one check. So that goes to the person, the sower, or the parable of the talents. The one that had 5 and he changed it to 10. The one that had 2 and changed it to 4, and then the one that went and buried it, he was the wicked servant. Went and hid it. Hid his candle under a bushel. Didn't share his light with the house or the people in the house, so it'd give light to the whole house. We got to watch that. Make sure that you do everything under the Lord. Let God keep that tally. Verse 17, and they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. Now, chapter 4. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that is, shall leave them neither root nor branch. It'll burn it all. There's a day coming where the Lord, if he did not come back, there would be no flesh saved. We're reading it. It's here. You gotta, like it talks about in Daniel, the writing on the wall, many, tekel. The writing is on the wall. It's already there. The judgment is set. That's why the books are open. That's why we can discern and understand the books. Verse 2, but unto you that fear my name shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing in his wings. And ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, and ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb, for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, listen up. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Elijah. I'm not saying I'm Elijah. I would love to believe that the spirit of Elijah is speaking through me, just as he did John the Baptist. And I would love to believe that he's speaking through each one of you when you go out in the streets, in the highways, in the byways, and you bid people to come to the marriage supper of the Lord. Go out to the highways and the byways. Be that John the Baptist, be that Elijah, that spirit of Elijah. Call unto those. Bid them to come to the marriage supper of the Lord. Now, like I said, we were going to read Jeremiah 50 and 51. Now, these are long. We got time. We'll try and break them down as best we can. Now, this tells us where we're at, what time it is. This is time for Babylon to fall. This is the end. Spoken of in Revelation. The word that the Lord spake against Babylon, against the land of the Chaldeans, by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard. Publish, and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken. Bel is confounded. What's that facial drooping? That Bel? What causes that? So is Bel confounded? Is that why the palsy? Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. Now, this is just a question. Yes, God could be using Russia and China and anyone else, Iran, anyone, to come and defeat Babylon, just like he used Assyria to always chase in Israel. He could do that. Or, I know that there's parts in the Bible that talk about a nation coming where no one knows their language. There's people here in America that can understand Chinese and Russian and Ukrainian. They can understand all the languages. Is there another land somewhere in the north that we do not know of? Maybe up around Mount Meru, if you study that. MT, period, capital MERU. Could there be another nation up there of warriors? This is just a question. That we can't understand their language. It says they will come and they will not break their ranks. It says the sword will not hurt them. Just a question. Study to show yourself approved. Okay. Verse 4, In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek the Lord their God. Are the children of Israel and Judah, Abraham's seed, a.k.a. us, are we weeping? Are we mourning? Are we seeking the Lord daily, minutely, hourly, secondly? Are we seeking Him? Even Revelation says it at the end, even now, Lord Jesus, come. I say that constantly. Okay, verse 5. They shall ask the way to Zion. Which way is Zion? Is it to the north? Question mark. With their faces thitherward, saying, Come, and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people hath been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. Who's their shepherds? Is that those that are behind a pulpit saying, come on in, the water's fun? Yeah, you can go ahead and celebrate this and celebrate that. Go ahead and eat that that's been sacrificed to this idol or that idol. Go ahead, not a problem. I don't mean to be condescending, but it's getting sad. So yeah, the shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from them mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them. Devoured them how? How is a shepherd supposed to devour somebody? By taking their money. The money that people survive off of, and making sure that you don't give them the word in the right and proper season and in the right context for them to make heaven their home. That's how you devour them. And their adversaries said, We offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because ye are grown fat as a heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land and a desert. Because of the wrath of the Lord it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend a bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Shout against her round about, she hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done, do unto her. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people. And they shall flee every one to his own land. Israel is scattered sheep, the lions have driven him away. First the king of Assyria hath devoured him, and last this Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found, for I will pardon them who I reserve. Go up against the land of Merathim, even against it and against the inhabitants of Perkod. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. The Lord hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord, God of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the uttermost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord our God, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her. For she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord, God of hosts, for thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong, the Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon their mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters. A drought is upon her waters, I'd say that's everywhere. We talked about the Euphrates drying up. We talked about the Mississippi River drying up. I can go from here. I live in Oklahoma. When I go to visit my boys up in Kansas, almost every pond And every pond around here, almost all of them are dried up. Huh. It keeps raining. Why do they keep drying up? It says upon her waters. It doesn't mention specific waters. And like I said, all the waters are drying up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. That sounds exactly like Amaruka. Therefore, the wild beasts of the desert, with the wild beasts of the islands, shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Why isn't anybody dwelling here no more? What happened? Now, I was going to say here at the end of this video, you're going to see this place turn into a police state. I'm sure they're going to use those different nations to police this Amaruka and get rid of all the sticks that go bang. They got to get rid of them sometime. So, and that's another thing. Those sticks that go bang, if our boys come to get them, or if anybody else's boys come to get them, whether they be China, Russia, anybody, if any of those sticks that go bang on somebody, whether they be from this country or another country, you're going to see whoever went bang bang, they're going to get charged. They'll get charged in our courts for murder. Believe it or not, even if we get invaded, if anybody goes bang bang on somebody, that person that goes bang bang is going either to prison or they're going to receive the death penalty. And that's what's going to happen. Believe it or not. So, all this patriotism, like we've talked about before, the Statue of Liberty stands for Libertas. Libertas, it's a goddess, Minerva. Liberty. It's liberty. It's freedom. Freedom away from God. That's what liberty means. It's freedom away from God and God's rules and God's laws. It's freedom from God. So all you patriots that throw your hands, oh, they ain't going to come here. If they come here, I'll tell you what. Yeah, they are going to tell you what. Because prophecy has to be fulfilled. You will not win. What did Jeremiah say? He told everybody at the beginning of Jeremiah, let Babylon win. Give up. Go to Babylon. I'm just telling you. Prophecy has to be fulfilled. You're not going to win. Verse 41, behold, a people shall come from the north. I'm not saying don't protect your home. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you go out looking for a fight, you're going to find it, and you're going to lose. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. They shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array, like a man to battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. Like I said, when they hit the shores, there's no recourse. You're not going to fight them. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to come in, and it's going to be one big police state. So, that being said, verse 43, the king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Babylon. and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and a cry is heard among the nations. So, that's 50. Now we're going to go into 51. Like I said, the enemy is within. They're letting the other ones come in. Why would you give the Norfolk Navy base to the UN? Why does the UN need a Navy? Question mark. Why would you send all our West Coast Navy to the South China Sea and our East Coast Navy? Why would you send them to the Black Sea? Why would you leave all our land-based weapons in Iraq and in Afghanistan? You're disarming America. You're preparing America to fall. They're going to raise this nation to the ground. So, chapter 51. Jeremiah. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. Like I said, all your politicians are in on it. It's the explosion that they're going to direct. They're going to direct you in the way that they want you to go until it's too late. That Venus flytrap again. Verse 2, chapter 51 in Jeremiah, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Now, before I read 4, I want to say this too. This, what you're getting ready to see, Babylon falling, is another depopulation method. This is another way, besides this, war is another depopulation technique. That's what it's for, to depopulate. So that's another reason that's going to happen, and that's another reason why our population is going to be below 100 million in 2025. Many plagues. This plague. War plague. Maybe Marburg or Ebola or smallpox. One of those plagues. It's the depopulation, and it's going to go around the whole world. But Babylon, for the most part, because it's in the Word. Verse 4, Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup. Golden cup. Remember, a beautiful cup. Remember, we talked about California. Cali. Beautiful cup. Golden cup. It's the golden state. Beautiful cup. Golden cup. Fornia. Fornication. Pornea. Porn. Okay. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that make all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. the Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord of God. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it. Because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes, for the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Let me go back to verse 12 for just a second. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. The standard, that's a flag. Make the watch strong, be watching. Set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes. The watchmen and the ambushes. Babylon's watchmen. The ambushes for Babylon. The tokamaks. For the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. So he's coming. He's going to pop that top. So they've got their watchmen. And they've got their ambushes with their Taurus, their tokamak, their bull. Verse 12. That was verse 12. So let's jump down to verse 14. We already read 13. The Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, Surely I will fill thee with men, as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the earth, the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and he bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven images, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. Why the shepherd and his flock? Because his flock are searching out that shepherd that will tell them a story their itching ears want to hear, and that shepherd will be the one telling the story because he knows what they want to hear. Because he won't tell them anything that'll run them off. He don't want to tell them the truth. He just want to say, "Go ahead, it's all right. Just sit here and let me tell you. Let me tell you a feel good story, a little feel good message. I don't want to run anybody off. I don't want to call this what it is, even though I know what it is, and have stated in the past I know this is what this is, and then I change my mind. What does it say? An unstable man, or a man divided is unstable in all his ways. That's the scripture for it. But anyway, a pastor that can't see what this is, that's what this is talking about. It's the flock that sit back because that's what they want to hear, and that shepherd is the one telling him because he knows that's what he wants. He knows that's what they want to hear, so that's what he tells them. That way he can get his $6,000 a month check. That's why he does it. So they're both, in God's eyes, going to be broken pieces. The shepherd and his flock. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyeth all the earth, and I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet against the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her kingdoms of Ararat, Minni, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up against the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations which the king of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. The mighty man of Babylon hath forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds, too scared to fight. Their might hath failed. Yeah, anybody comes over here and we'll show them who's boss, until they come over here. And you find yourself wetting in your pants, and you hide yourself in the mountains and the rocks, and you cry out to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us, and hide us from he that sits on the throne. But you just sit back there and listen to that shepherd tell you his little story, and you'll be all right for a minute. They remained in their holds. Their might have failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the kings of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are frightened. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babylon, hath devoured me. He hath crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He hath swallowed me up like a dragon. He hath filled his belly with my delicates. He hath cast me out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitant of Zion say. And my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea, shall Jerusalem say. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will plead thy cause, and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea, and make her springs dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, an astonishment, and a hissing without an inhabitant. Dry up the sea and the springs, huh? Like I said a while ago, that's what you're seeing. They shall roar together like lions, they shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat I will make their feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not to wake, saith the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. How is Shishak taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment before the nations? The sea is come upon Babylon, she is covered with a multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Bel in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. So this talks about Baal and something that Baal has swallowed. Just a recommendation. On my playlist, if you go to my channel, I have a playlist. And if you go to extra biblical texts, there's an apocryphal book in there called Bel and the Dragon. It's in the Apocrypha. So if you have an Apocrypha, you can go and read it. I recommend that you read it, not just listen. And the reason I say that is because there's something about holding the Word. There's something about feeling the weight of the Word. So go read that story or listen to that story on my playlist. Anyway, verse 45, my people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land, a rumor shall both come 1 year. A rumor shall come both 1 year, huh? That sounds like right now. So let's read that one more time. Unless your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land, a rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Sounds a lot like what's fixing to happen, huh? Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon. Statue of Liberty. The Washington Monument. Capitol buildings. I mean, the list goes on and on. Lincoln Memorial. Bunch of statues, bunch of graven images. Even that cross that you see up in them churches. Graven images. The land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon, for the spoiler shall come unto her from the north, saith the Lord. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away. Stand not still, remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. Then again, if all these, and I've asked this question before too. If all these countries, if they all gather here, are they gathering against the Lord and His anointed? Because like it says further back in Jeremiah, the gates are open. Like we talked about the east and west coast and the north and south borders, our gates are open. So like I've said before, could this be Armageddon or the Valley of Megiddo? Is this where everybody's going to congregate for the battle? Just a question. Verse 51, chapter 51, Jeremiah. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. Strangers, yeah. Strangers, those who aren't gods, coming into His sanctuaries. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. A sound of a cry cometh from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because the Lord hath spoiled Babylon, and destroyed out of her the great voice. When her waves do roar like great waters, a noise of their voice is uttered. Because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken. Even one of their bows is broken. For the Lord God of recompense shall surely requite. And I will make drunk her princes and her wise men, her captains and her rulers and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep and not wake, saith the King, whose name is the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Seraiah the son of Neriah the son of Maaseiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah into Babylon in the 4th year of his reign, and this Seraiah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Seraiah, when thou comest to Babylon, and thou shalt see and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And like I said a week or so ago, this scroll that had a stone tied around it and cast in the Euphrates, I hypothesized or postulated, whatever you want to call the word. I'm not trying to be, act like I know it all. But could this scroll, when read, when the water dries up and it's found and read, could this be what releases the 4 angels that are bound in the great river Euphrates? Is this what's bound the angels? Whenever this scroll is found and read, then the angels are loosed? Just a question mark. Now, that being said, like I said earlier, could all these kings be gathered together against the Lord and His anointed? Could all these nations be gathered or be fixing to gather in Amaruka, not to fight one another, but all to congregate to fight the Lord and His anointed? That's just a question, because there's that possibility as well. Like I said, take it to the Lord. You don't have to believe a word I say, but study to show yourself approved. Put things together. Verse 64, and thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So, there's that. Now, that's basically all I have. Like I said, the Lord just wanted me to tell you guys, there are no more countries. There is no U.S., there is no China. We are not fighting anybody but an invisible enemy, entity, a ruler of the darkness of this world. Nations are nothing but chess pieces. The rulers, the presidents, the kings, the whatever, they are chess pieces. They are not fighting. The leaders are not fighting anybody. They are getting their orders. And they're not going to be touched. They won't be harmed. I don't believe Osama bin Laden was shot. I don't even believe that Saddam Hussein was killed. I think that's all show. Muammar Gaddafi, I don't know if he was killed. Anyway, all this being said, don't believe anything. Don't walk by sight. I told you last week, your eyes will fool you. Your ears will fool you. Walk by faith. God's got you. He's upholding you. He's undergirding you. He's protecting you. Until the time that He says, come up hither. I tell you all every week, I love you all very much, and I pray for you on a daily basis. Michelle prays for you guys on a daily basis. She's got names written down on her prayer list. All that being said, we'll see what He gives us next week or the week after. And it was funny. This week my computer on this, or my camera on this computer wouldn't work. I had to end up hard resetting my computer because the camera wouldn't work. Everything else worked but the camera. Kinda weird. So anyway, just keep your eyes on Him. Don't look to the left or the right. Always reflect and glorify Him in all that you do. When others see you, let them see Him in you. If there's anything in you that does not reflect or glorify you, ask Him to pluck it out. Keep that oil in your lamp. Trim it. Anyway, I love you guys. God bless y'all.